Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast. With your hosts, Ashley and Mike, please sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast presented by the Undroppables and sponsored by Analyst Depot. I am your host, Ashley. This is my co-host, Michael Duncan. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Good. As our ticker would suggest, you have something to be. We'll jump right to it since it's on the ticker. We'll go over news first, and this was in news, but tell us about what is showing up on our news ticker.
Kelly Green is back. I did not realize that it would play over the intro video, but it was, and that's fine.
I didn't see it on mine.
Oh.
Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
I don't think you were paying attention.
Maybe not.
But yes, it was announced last year when the Eagles got the NFL to agree to allow alternate helmet colors, one alternate set of helmets. It was announced that in a year, the Eagles would be bringing back the Kelly Green alternate jerseys, their throwbacks, that a lot of fans love a lot. And Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, made it official this past couple of days at the NFL League meeting. So, yes, it is. I remember I made this ticker like a year ago when they first announced it. So I decided to make another one this year.
You did.
Now that it's official.
Your favorite piece of news so far?
I can't wait. The mock-ups I see every day are just like, I just can't wait. It's going to be disappointing for somehow.
Yeah, like I feel like bringing back something that iconic, like you just have to go with like the vintage look and keep it simple vintage, like almost exactly the same as it used to be. But they're not going to do that.
What's really a shame. Now, I think they will. I think Jeffrey Lurie gets it. I just think that people are going to be disappointed for some reason because that's what we do. What's really a shame is my favorite Kelly Green jerseys are actually more from like the era before the era that people want to bring back. I like the ones they have like gray stripes on the sleeve. Okay. Those are my personal favorite. They're not going to be the ones they bring back, but those are the ones I really like. So
probably not. Anyway, on today's docket news, we already jumped there a little bit, and the league meeting was this week. So that's going to be a majority of this show is talking about what happened at the league meeting. And then we have some fun thoughts on rules that we think the league meeting should have discussed. But let's start with news. This week, bigger news, Calais Campbell, the former Ravens defensive end, signed a 1-year deal with the Falcons. And crazy story, Foster Moreau, who was a tight end for the Raiders, who is now a free agent, was going on free agent visits. And while doing his physical with the Saints, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma. There's a quote in here about kind of how it happened from him. The quote says, "It's like a normal family doctor type of checkup. The doctor puts his hands on me, and the first thing he touches, I swear to you, he touches my left lymph node system right here up in my collarbone. And it's shocking to him how swollen this thing is. He's like, we need to check this thing out. It's about the size of a golf ball." So then after that, they did a CAT scan, did a little biopsy, and confirmed he has Hodgkin lymphoma. So he's going to be going on his journey to try and heal and get better and cure his cancer, and will not be playing in the NFL this season.
Did you know that this is actually the second time the Saints have uncovered cancer for a player that they were recently signing or trading for? The first one being longtime Eagles NFL long snapper and America's Got Talent magician John Dorenbos, who named his dog Saint.
Eagles had a magician.
You've never what?
No.
You missed that entire thing?
Yeah, I must have missed that season.
He was on Ellen. He was on America's Got Talent like multiple times. Like, he was like,
the thing is, like, I love America's Got Talent. Like, I used to go to America's Got Talent live shows, and I just didn't know that.
I auditioned for America's Got Talent.
I know you did. We've talked about this, but not live. But we talked about this.
We've
before.
Thought about doing it again recently. We had talks.
You
we
should
might bring it back. No, we shouldn't.
I love America's Got Talent.
Unless we decided if we were to do it again, we'd have to be purposely bad enough to make it on TV.
Yes, onto the show.
We can't just be bad because that's what we were the first time, and we just doesn't matter. So
I think the key to it is you're gonna have to give like a really sad backstory, and then they like the stories, and then go on stage and be bad. So like then you get two sides of the coin.
Well, one of us had cancer.
Was it this one, right?
I don't know if it was Hodgkin's lymphoma or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Mm-hmm. I constantly forget, but he had one of them.
Nice, good friend.
Well, hey, he's good. He's cured. This was like a bunch of years ago. I didn't even know there were two different ones.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. But I'm not an expert on cancer. Remind me to send you John Dornbos on AGT
Please
because I
do.
seriously don't understand how you missed that. It was
Yeah.
everywhere on social media all the time.
Yeah, I don't
So.
remember that. Well, I definitely will have to look into that. But mentioning the Saints, Saints head coach came out and said Michael Thomas is still not 100% after everything he does and did and was hurt and finally got it fixed and whatever the heck. Whatever. Michael Thomas is not 100%. They're hoping he'll be ready by the start of the season. And I just want to put in perspective, I don't think Michael Thomas has been 100% for like years, but he's still not.
He hasn't.
He had that surgery on his foot, toe, something like that. It's hard to keep up with him. So he had a foot injury of some sort and decided not to play and not let like the Saints doctors treat him. And then at the end of the season decided to go do the surgery, hoping he'd be back. And then he signed a 1-year deal with the Saints. And now he's back and not 100%. So that's Michael Thomas. Lamar Jackson, the big news. I'm going to pull up the Twitter thread. Why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown and I'll read what Lamar Jackson had to say for himself.
Yeah, so the next step in the Lamar Jackson news cycle has been that he came forward with a letter, if you want to call it that. It was just a tweet thread to his fans that he had requested a trade from the Ravens earlier this offseason. I believe it was like March 3rd or something, early March. And the Ravens did not want to do that. And since then, he has gotten no offers from any team in terms of, like the non-exclusive free agent franchise tag thing that he is. So yeah, do you have that pulled up?
I do. So it is 3 main tweets. I can go over most of the points. He starts it by addressing it to a letter to all of his fans, thanking them for the love and support they show him all the time. He says, "You're amazing. I love you all. I want you to know not everything you believe, don't believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions in regards to my future plans. As of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization for which the Ravens has not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that's met me or been around me know I love the game of football and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You are all great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore, Flock Nation, and the entire state of Maryland. You will see me again." And there is a 4th tweet in which he says, "Let's stay connected. Subscribe to my fan page." And it's a link.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. It came brilliantly right as Coach John Harbaugh was starting his interview at the NFL League meeting. So that was funny. He kind of reacted live to that. But yeah, just I don't know what's going on anymore. I still stand firm that I don't see a way he gets traded. Because I don't think that the Ravens would do that. Like I don't see a world where they do that. But at this point, I truly don't know what's to come next because this is truly, I think, unlike anything we've really seen before.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was Kirk Cousins in the past. There's been a few others that have been on this type of franchise tag, but none of this caliber and none of this level of discourse with the team.
And this publicly, he loves to go to Twitter and talk about it. And it's not, I don't want to say transparent because it hasn't been transparent, but it's public. So we don't really know any information, but Lamar Jackson is giving us some details. And head coaches and owners are staying true to saying they're not pursuing him. The worst of which was Arthur Blank from the Falcons, who decided to bring Deshaun Watson into the conversation and talk about how it's different situations and how Lamar Jackson has missed so much time, which he backed himself into a corner because then people were like, "You're talking about Deshaun Watson, who opted out a season and then missed time because he sexually assaulted multiple women." So it's weird. These coaches are backing themselves into a lot of corners and saying things they shouldn't just to deny Lamar Jackson. Everyone's involved in the conversation. Deion Sanders had said basically keep your business private. He like put out a message to him and was like, dude, like stop doing this publicly. Keep it all private. Like don't talk to the people who are just trying to like bait you into it. So every big name is involved in this conversation very publicly, and it's very, very odd.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that like at least Dion was very.
Yeah, it's
he was
like
very
he was on Lamar's
supportive.
side. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know if anything more like. It's the ultimate question of, and this kind of this. I'm gonna use this as a kind of way to get into some of the free agency stuff that we missed. But one of the biggest, probably the biggest free agent that was still in the market when we were doing our last podcast was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Now, if you missed it, there was a very public outcry. I don't know if that's the right wording, when he signed with the Lions for a 1-year, $6.5 million deal with incentives up to $8 million. The incentives on that contract are whack. Like there is no chance he gets that incentive if the Lions are not in the top half of the league in total defense. And then on top of that, he also has to, accomplish certain individual things. So the reason this discourse was so public and there was such an outcry against it was because the agents tweeted, the agents, not CJGJ, the agents tweeted basically, hey, would you rather have a 1-year, $8 million deal or a 3-year deal that is backloaded with $17 million in the third year? Just no one asked them to do that. No one asked them a question. And all it did was make them look horrible. Because the reality of the situation from all the reporting we've gotten is, and I promise I will bring this back to Lamar, the reporting has said that the Eagles made an initial offer of around $12 million a year to CJGJ when free agency started. He said, no, I'm worth more. Whatever. Agent said it. I don't know who said it. Fine. Go see if you can get Jesse Bates $16 million a year money. That's fine. And the Eagles tried to stay in contact with him. It didn't, he didn't like being lowballed, or so he thought. And the Eagles were like, fine. So we're going to bring back James Bradbury because he's still around. We got him on a bargain. We're going to restructure Darius Slay. We're redoing our secondary. We're spending money elsewhere. And then about a week later, CJGJ comes back. He said, hey, I want that first offer. Again, sorry. CJGJ / the agents. We want that first offer. The Eagles were like, we don't have that money anymore. Yeah, we don't have that money anymore. Maybe we can give you something. But we had to move on because you were in your own little world thinking you were going to get Jesse Bates money, and that wasn't going to happen. And then he settles for a 1-year, $6.5 million, which is not $8 million, by the way. And also, no contract in NFL history, I'm fairly sure, has ever been a 3-year deal with $17 million in the third year. And there was a very, very smart man whose name I'm forgetting that tweeted underneath someone's report of it about what he thinks the structure of the of the deal offered by the Eagles probably was, and that would be $17 million of the cap hit being in the third year, with the other 2 years being like $3.5 million.
So they just misread it and went on Twitter with it.
I don't think that they misread it. They have to understand it, or else they're absolute morons.
Yeah.
But they're just making fools of themselves, because like any NFL fan that sees that is like, that's not a real thing.
Yeah.
You can't. You don't do that. You don't pay a guy $7 million for 2 years with $17 million in the third year. You would never sign that, because your guy is never seeing that. Your guy is never seeing that third year. They either cut him or restructure him before that. Just not happening. So the agents made absolute fools of themselves, and they also cost their dude CJGJ a lot of money, because I don't see a world where CJGJ makes more money next offseason, significantly more money, than he does this season. He's going to be on a worse defense. He's probably, just statistically, probability, he's not going to lead the NFL in interceptions like he did this past year. He missed 5 games. He still led the NFL in interceptions, and he statistically, he's probably not going to go to the Super Bowl. One team in the NFC is going to go, and it's probably not going to be the Lions. Regardless of how much I might like them, they're probably not going to the Super Bowl. I don't see a world where his value gets better and his agents completely screwed him. So bringing it back to Lamar, that brought a microscope on that situation because people are like now using this as the opposite argument of, well, this is why Lamar doesn't have an agent. It's like, okay, well, yeah, there's good, there's bad on both sides. There are good agents, there are bad agents. The fact of the matter is a safety that got traded away for a 5th or 6th round pick by the team that drafted him and didn't want to pay him, and then he's getting this deal is not the same as an MVP level franchise quarterback. And Lamar is probably doing himself a disservice by not having someone in his ear that can help him through this process. That being said, some agents suck.
Yeah. I mean, similar thing happened with Saquon. I mean, all reports came out that the Giants were willing to offer him a decent amount of money. And all of your feelings on paying running backs and Saquon and the Giants aside, they put an offer on the table that was fairly decent. But Saquon was basically requesting a deal that was going to reset the running back market. And his agents kept pushing that and not backing down. And instead, he ends up with way less money and less job security on the franchise tag. So agents can work in your favor and they can't. But, like, I don't see a way that it's worse than this. Like, I don't, even a bad agent, I think at this point would be better than this.
Yeah, maybe not the guy that lives in Florida who is apparently
Not that
trying
guy.
to negotiate
Forgot about
for
that.
Lamar Jackson. Very odd. I kind of missed that happening on Twitter, so I
Yeah.
came on very confused. But yeah,
His
apparently
name's Ken something.
yeah. If you look on
Jax's
Twitter,
yeah,
yeah,
I am Ken something. Either way, he's a random man who is not an agent. So the league sent out an address to all 32 teams and said, if Ken Francis tries to reach out to you and says he's Lamar Jackson's agent, do not do business with him. He is not an agent. He does not work for Lamar Jackson. How do you think he like actually reached out to anyone, or he's just pretending?
Oh, I mean,
like,
I think
in order for a memo like that to be sent out, I feel like he had to have gotten in contact with someone.
I hope he did. I think that's incredible.
That's what I'm saying.
Good for Ken Francis.
How do you even make those inroads? That's crazy.
What a name too. That's
Ken Francis.
It's a very memeable name
For you.
Yeah.
Either way, do you want to talk real quick about free agency stuff before I get into our last news bit, and we'll talk about the league meeting?
What else was there for free agency?
I don't know. You said you wanted to talk about free agency a little bit.
CJGJ was kind of the big one. I think there's been a couple other ones.
Bobby Wagner went back.
Yeah, he went back to the Seahawks. Yeah, but CJGJ was the big one because of the storyline behind it.
Yes. Okay. All right. So then last piece of news, the Commanders sale. It's an apparent $6 billion price tag right now, which would top the biggest sale of an NFL franchise, which happened last offseason with the Broncos, which was right around 4.5. I think I have that number a little bit wrong, but in the upwards of 4.5. It all happened. A lot of this has been coming together during the league meeting. Apparently there's like 4 bidders, one of which is a mystery bidder. A $6 billion deal has been placed on the table and seems to be the one that's going. I figured. That's going to happen. Either way, people, owners, coaches were urged not to talk about the Dan Snyder situation while at the league meeting and try to keep him kind of out of the conversation so that he can just quietly move on and they can get the sale done. Because I don't think they want to really talk about Dan Snyder and all of the disastrous things he did. I was reading something on CBS, and apparently Arthur Blank told a small group of reporters that he believed Snyder moved to London. He reported that him and his wife Tanya changed their legal residence. His son Jerry, who was on App State football, he's no longer on the roster, and his school spokesperson says he's not enrolled at the university anymore. They put up some of their houses for sale. He cleared out all of his ownership offices. So it seems like they were just like, get as far away from here as possible, please. And now they're selling the franchise for $6 billion. And a lot of what that price tag factors in, it seems, is location. That DC is in the top like 5 media markets in the country. So when you're looking at comparison between the Broncos and the Commanders, you have to factor in how many eyes are on your franchise, because at the end of the day, it's a product, it's a business. And if you're in one of the top 5 media markets in the country, that's a lot more eyes that you're paying for.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of how garbage they've been for like a long time, they're almost always ranked in the top 10 of the highest valued NFL franchises by like multiple things. multiple publications and all that. I'm looking for the Forbes one that they put out every year. Yeah, it has him at 3rd as of a couple years ago. Actually, it was a decent amount of years ago.
I wonder how that changed with the name change.
I mean, probably not a lot. It's still in DC. It still has a rich history of like not being crap when that period of time was happening when they weren't crap. But yeah, they've definitely gone down a little bit, but they're still in the top half, and I think they're still definitely worth more than the Denver Broncos.
I just hope that they're willing to take a nice big truck and run it through the stadium and knock it all down and rebuild it.
They should have. They should probably have Jalen Hurts drive the truck.
Okay.
He literally was assaulted.
The building tried to kill him. Yeah, and there's like poop rivers in the stadium. Like,
and by the way,
sewage leaking.
I just want to say this. I want to get this out there. If Josh Harris, owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, buys that goddamn forsaken team, I want him out of Philly, and I want him tried for his crimes at the Rocky statue. I'm not going to make any threatening remarks, but I want him tried. For his crimes.
Just tried. There's no threats there. It's just that you want a free and fair trial.
I am not them, but he deserves a trial because honestly, screw you, dude. No. You have to sell the Sixers. You have to sell the Sixers. I already hate you.
He's making his bid with a man named Steve Alapoulous. I don't know. It sounds like a Greek last name. I know I'm mispronouncing that. He's a Canadian billionaire.
Great.
He's the son of I was right. Greek-Canadian businessman Andreas. He was born in Toronto. They're paired in making that I know it's been reported that they are the 6.6 or something billion offer. They're the top offer.
He's been trying to buy. He already owns, I want to say, the New Jersey Devils, I believe. And he tried to buy the Broncos, and I want to say there was a period. I forget, the Panthers. Maybe he might have tried to buy, but yeah, I hate him. Anyway,
the guy who owns the Houston Rockets is also trying to buy Tillman Fertitta. He's trying to buy it. He's an American billionaire.
Oh, he's from Maryland. Josh Harris is also, by the way. I didn't realize that.
Interesting.
But I still didn't just leave Philly. Fucking stay there. God damn.
Anyway. The main piece of news and drama and everything from this past week has been the NFL League meeting. It was March 26th. Today, the 29th, was the final day of the league meeting. It included teams, owners, general managers, head coaches, all of their family. They all assembled in the Arizona Biltmore at Phoenix, Arizona, and spent their week there with media answering questions. But the big thing is any rule changes and proposals. So this is where a lot of teams come to the table with their ideas for the future. In order for any rule change to be permitted at the league meeting, they must receive at least 24 votes from the NFL owners to be adopted. So we can talk about some of the ones. Why don't we go through proposed, approved, and denied? There's really only one that I could talk about for denied. But for proposed, these are ones that weren't officially stamped, approved, and in the season yet. Most of these ones will be they're not fully denied either, so they will be brought back at the owners meeting in May, which is another meeting similar to this with just the owners. And they'll talk more about these rules, sometimes define what they're trying to do a little bit more, get some more data on it, and then decide. But these are our proposed ones. Most of these I have written down in the language that they were written, like the proposals were written, so we can talk about them afterwards. Philly proposed that they should permit a team to maintain possession of the ball after a score by substituting one offensive play, 4th and 20 from the kicking team's 20-yard line for an onside kickoff attempt. Basically, similar to the XFL. They could attempt a 4th and 20 to retain possession after their score. They could not come to a resolution on this and required further discussion. This is the one that seems like it was fairly split, that they couldn't get a majority on it. But it seems like we talked about this. We'll talk about it later. NFL rules we want to see. A lot of people want to see that XFL rule come to the NFL.
This has been proposed for a couple years now. Mm-hmm. I think it's been Philadelphia the whole time. But Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple of years ago there was like a report that like some of the owners were just pissed off and they didn't vote for it because it gave Patrick Mahomes specifically an unfair advantage, which I just think is hysterical because it's like, just get a better offense, dude. Like, if you suck, you suck. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes probably doesn't need to do an onside kick that often.
Yep.
So.
The one that we have denied was this proposal by the Los Angeles Rams to make fouls for roughing the passer called on the field subject to replay assist and or review by a coach's challenge. Obviously, it just makes roughing the passer reviewable. If they call it, they can go back to replay, see it, and uncall that penalty. Or a coach can throw a challenge flag and say, hey, that was my guy who just got roughed over there. Throw a flag. And then, anyway, the league denied this one. I know that Mike Vrabel was big on this one. He's on the committee, some sort of committee for something.
Competition committee?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one he's on. So he did like a lot of media, and this was one he focused in on and said he did not like this one. I don't know.
I'm looking at the competition committee now.
I understand not wanting it to be reviewable, but I also understand it from like a health and safety point of view, like that it kind of forces refs to be a little bit better. But I can see how it's going to create one of those moments, one of those Super Bowl moments where it's like game on the line, future on the line, and they're going to throw a coach's challenge or make a reviewable and call back.
You can't do it in the last 2 minutes of the game.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like one of those moments that's like changes a season. So I could understand where they're coming from. I'm kind of torn on this one myself.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where we shouldn't be torn about it, but the reason we're torn about it is because we don't trust the NFL to even get it right after the review and or make it a quick process.
Mm-hmm.
If we could trust the NFL to just make it this should, like, what it should be used for is a scenario like we saw a couple times this year where it was a very, very painfully obvious either non-call or call that should be reversed on a single replay.
Yep.
And in that moment, someone somewhere should be able to be like, hey, you guys screwed up, fix it. But we don't trust the NFL to do that.
Yep.
And that's the issue.
Yep. And that I know is what Mike Vrabel was talking about. Now that you say that, I remember it. It's that basically that this one opened the door for reviewing all flags. And he says, listen, we as the NFL have tried that before. Yeah, exactly. And we're not doing this. Like, we can't do this anymore. We're not. It's going to be too long of a game. It's going to be too much back and forth, like ridiculousness that we can't do this.
I think it's a sad excuse. I think it's pathetic. It's just we won't have this issue if you just fix the root of the issue. Like, I think it's a good proposal in the way that it's trying to solve an issue, but the correct way to solve the issue is not a rule. It's fix the reffing.
Fix it. Yeah.
Like, it's that simple. I get it's hard, but hey, still the only one of the four major sports that doesn't have full-time referees.
Yeah. Yep. Also, that's why they approve rules now, and they will start training referees on these rules now.
Yeah.
But any rules have to be made by May so that they have ample time to prepare for these, to institute the rules in preseason, but to be fully ready to roll them out by the time the season starts.
Yeah.
That's why May is like the final deadline for approving these. We have two that were proposed by the competition committee. The first one is to equalize the yard line where kickoffs and touchbacks, which were previously at the 25-yard line, and punts, which were previously at the 20-yard line. The reasoning is for competitive equity, consistency, and player safety. That one's a little confusing. It's just a regular rule. But their next one was proposal to give the receiving team the ball at their 25-yard line. If there's a fair catch on a free kick, kickoff, and safety kick behind the receiving team's 25-yard line. It's the same as college rules and was instituted in college for player safety. That one's fine. I don't mind it.
Yeah. Again, it happens so rarely that it's kind of just whatever.
Yep. And Detroit proposed bringing back the third QB rule. That is a rule the league had from 1991 to 2010 that allowed the use of a third quarterback in addition to the starter and the backup. The rule was they let go of the rule in the 2011 season when the NFL increased the roster size to allow 46 players to dress for a game. So yeah, this was tabled at this league meeting because of debate about whether that player could be a practice squad player or only an active roster player to dress on game day as a roster exemption. So this person is exempt from that roster. Like if that roster is 46, he's technically 47 and he's exempt from it. So they were kind of debating if it has to be a practice squad guy or a full-time guy.
It'll get passed. They just need to figure out the language.
Yes.
These things like this one and the next one, like they're getting tabled because they know they're going to pass in May, and they just need to figure out the language.
Yep. And similar with this one is the hip drop tackle. There was discussions about that. They will be actually held about that at the owners' meeting in May. The league says it leads to an injury rate 20 times that of other tackles and causes more severe lower body injuries. The league wants coaches to agree on the definition and exact, like show examples of what a hip drop tackle is before they actually put the rule forth. They don't want to put a half written rule on the table. Another one.
Good idea, NFL.
Fine. Yeah. Anyway, on to the ones that are approved. Big one in the news, I guess, proposed by Philadelphia. Players are now permitted to wear the number 0, except offensive and defensive linemen. Kickers and punters can use any numbers 0 to 49 and 90 to 99.
People need to thank Philadelphia for what they've done for the coolness factor of the NFL the last
It is pretty cool to be able to wear number 0.
They got number 0 in. They got alternate helmets to bring back actually good alternate jersey combos. Like, come on. Like, give him some credit. Give Jeffrey some credit. He's doing a great job. Although greatly, it is largely, at least a lot of Philadelphia beat writers think it's because the Eagles are like low key running out of numbers. We don't have too many jerseys retired, but we have a lot that are like pseudo retired that we just haven't given out. Like LaShawn McCoy's 25. No one's worn 12 since Randall Cunningham. There's a couple other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head, as well as like 20 and 5 being recently retired. But then there's also like a bunch of players like Brent Selleck for some reason is like, which I love him, all-time Eagle, but very it's like tight end that didn't really do much. He won a Super Bowl. It's fine. He had a long career with the Eagles. I don't mean to.
You're on a tangent.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay.
Anyway, Calvin Ridley announced that he is very excited. He will be the first number 0 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know that Paris Campbell will wear 0 for the New York Giants.
Oh, was that announced?
Yeah.
I missed that.
They announced it, and Darren Waller's wearing 12.
Ew.
Very odd.
I hate that's
12
disgusting.
The thing is, 12 doesn't feel like a cool number. Like, numbers have
identities. It's a fine number, not for a tight end.
I don't care about position. I'm thinking like personality-wise. Like Darren Waller needs like a 15. Like he needs like a hard number.
No, a tight end does not wear a 1 number.
Listen, I'm not talking about positions. I'm talking about personalities.
Yeah, but that the jersey number analytics. The position matters more than your personality and crap.
No, I'm just thinking in terms of personality and cool factor. I don't like the number 12 for Darren Waller. He needs like a hard number, like a 7 or a 5.
Changes
a 9.
The cool factor changes a lot depending on what your position is. Kenny Gainwell wears 14. It's a horrible running back number. It's a great wide receiver number, a pretty good quarterback number. It's fine. 14 is a fine number overall. It shouldn't be on a running back. Absolutely not.
Either way, there are certain, even if it's not 15, fine. Anyway, certain numbers have certain identities, and people have identities, and 2 is a very soft number.
Tight end should wear 80 numbers.
2 is a soft number, so 12 I don't like.
What are you talking about?
I'm telling you.
It has to do with this is...
Not for you, stupid. Not for me.
No, for the world. This is a worldwide rule.
I don't care. Anyway, the Chargers proposed to make the adjustment of the play clock following an instant replay reversal consistent with other timing rules. I think that just means while they're doing the replay, they can double check timing. Am I right?
Sure. I have no idea what that means.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm assuming I'm never going to notice a difference.
No. Some of them are confusing too, because like I said, I'm copying them like word for word on what the league put out. So Next one approved, to expand the replay officials' jurisdiction to allow for review on failed fourth down attempts. So they're giving them more leeway, a little bit more rope.
They're saying that it can be an official review. It doesn't have to be a challenge. So
yep,
whatever.
They are changing the definition of a launch to changing the definition of a launch, not just leaving 2 feet. You could leave 1 foot and it's still a launch.
Whatever, man.
So I know launching has to do with like personal fouls and sometimes ejections, especially when there's like a head injury and stuff. So that's like when they jump up. And so I don't know. Now you can, even if you do it with 1 foot, you're out. To make the penalty for tripping a personal foul, which is now 15 yards instead of 10.
Good.
To make the penalty for illegally handing the ball forward consistent with other illegal acts, such as illegal forward pass.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen, so whatever.
How do you illegally hand the ball forward?
Well, you're not supposed to hand it forward.
Yeah.
You can't just like... I don't know. I've never seen someone try
That's
it. To be honest, I can't
saying.
think... Well, you can do it. Well, like, you can physically do it, but clearly you're not allowed to.
Anyway.
Apparently there wasn't a rule about it, though, so I don't know.
On that level,
Whatever.
to make the penalty for illegal punts, drop kicks, or place kicks consistent with other illegal acts, such as illegal forward passes. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. To prevent the offense from benefiting by an extension of the half as a result of their foul. So I think I understand this one. Do you?
Okay, wait, which one?
To prevent the offense from benefiting by an extension of the half as a result of their foul.
Yeah, so
like if you get a
means...
foul at the end of the half, even if you get bumped back, but they put the time back on the clock so you can do that play, right?
Yeah.
So they're just saying if a foul happens, that's it. It's a half.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was already a rule, but again, I think a lot of these are just kind of cleaning up wording to not allow for...
I feel like when I'm reading these, I feel like I'm taking like an SAT test. To clarify use of the helmet against an opponent by removing the butt, ram, spear language from Article 8 and incorporating those actions into impermissible use of the helmet. So
don't do that.
You can't like headbutt or use your helmet to like ram someone or spear someone. So illegal use of the head. They're changing the languaging. That's one
but only one example. Of the heads.
Only one. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
It's totally legal.
There is now just one roster cut down. Teams will trim their rosters from 90 to 53 after the final preseason game, which is August 29th. So we're going to get like so many cuts right
I think that's fun. I think that's really fun.
It's going to be so chaos.
I'm totally fine with it. It's going to be so chaos, she said.
It is going to be so chaos.
It's going to be so chaos.
Yes.
Love it.
Exactly. My personal favorite, the Guardian caps are now mandated at every preseason practice, as well as regular season and postseason practice with contact. Players at position groups where head contact is seen most are to wear the caps. That was previously only for linemen and linebackers. Halfbacks and running backs are to join this year. So those are the silly looking little helmet things with like, it looks like bubbles on them.
Yep.
It's padding. So those are called the Guardian caps. They're used to prevent some of the force that happens for guys who are maintaining like constant force in an NFL game. Supposedly. So last year they were only required to wear the Guardian caps up until the second preseason game. The league data showed that the cap will absorb 11 to 12% of the force. If both players are wearing the cap and have a helmet-to-helmet hit, the force can be reduced by around 20%. So if you have a running back and a lineman and they hit each other, it's 20% force decreased, which to me is really cool. So one of my favorite, it's weird to say it like that, one of the most interesting stats that I read was in an entire NFL game, linemen, linebackers will endure so many hits to the head that it's equal to driving your car into a wall at 30 miles per hour. That's the amount of force they sustain in one NFL game, like one full NFL game. So taking the load off during practices by just reducing it by 10 to 20% will help in the long run decrease CTE, because CTE is caused by constant low force hit to the heads. They don't have to be these big, scary concussions. It can be just brute force over short, like little spans here and there and every few days. And it causes the buildup of that tau protein, which causes CTE. So I'm happy about that one.
I saw both my starting left tackle and my backup left tackle both get concussions within 2 days of wearing them. And then they both were very angry and said they didn't do anything. So
listen, but again, it's not
I'll trust the science, but
prevent.
also I love Jordan Mailata with all my heart. And if anything ever happens to him, I will murder everyone and then myself.
So we're making threats now. We tried not to make the threats earlier.
I consider that more of a quote from Brooklyn Nine-Nine than an actual threat.
Okay, fine. Either way, the Guardian Cap is not designed to prevent concussions, essentially. It's more so designed to reduce the amount of force that comes with it. So, I mean, yeah, if like a 250, 300-pound guy is coming at you, it's only reducing 11% of the force. But that makes a difference in the long run, if that makes sense.
I'll believe the science.
Okay, good. Love science. Yeah, so those are the ones the league passed. So obviously still a lot on the docket. I don't really think we have much more to talk about with those, right?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about the other doings at the meeting. Brian Dabble got a sunburn.
That shouldn't count as a doing.
That is a doing.
If anything, it should be that he was the first one to open a beer. He cracked open a beer at 11:30 a.m. That's newsworthy. Getting a sunburn is not newsworthy.
Yeah, killer sunburn.
I will have a sunburn the first day that it's sunny out.
Let me tell you though, go look at the photo of all the coaches.
I've seen the photo.
He's so red. He got a sunburn.
Yeah, you picked the wrong interesting thing about your coach. I saw that on there. I was angry.
Picture.
You didn't even bring up the beer. Like, move on.
Yes, he was the first
showed
person.
up. He had meetings with the teams. No one cares anymore, OBJ. Just pick a freaking team. Let's move on with our lives.
I was waiting for it.
You're probably washed at this point. I don't even care. I don't even if you're good, fine. Just pick a freaking team. Good
I
Lord.
wrote that in here knowing that it was going to set you off. Because I'm so exhausted. It's exhausting trying to keep up with this. Apparently he just like strutted in like a really cool outfit. I was like, hey everyone, I'm here. Like, no one even invited you. Why are you here?
There's a good chance someone invited him to have a talk.
Probably. I have to sneeze. There is interest from he met with several teams. The main one that they keep talking about is that he met with the Ravens. Obviously the interest still remains for some teams, including Jets, Giants, Ravens, Rams, basically anybody who needs wide receivers. Seems like the Cowboys don't really like him anymore though. So
I don't like the Cowboys, so
yes. The big hoopla is teams can now have 2 Thursday night games per season. Last year, the limit was 1. A team can only play Thursday night football once in a season. It caused an uproar, okay? So Patrick Mahomes tweets a facepalm emoji. Other players have a lot to say about it on Twitter too. But Roger Goodell was asked about the Mahomes tweet. He says, I don't think we're putting Amazon over our players. The data doesn't show higher injury rate. I hear from players who also love the 10 days after a Thursday night game. We have to try and balance it all.
Yeah, of course. You love the 10. Like, I love having a long weekend. Mm-hmm. I don't like having to make up the work that I couldn't do when I wasn't at work. Like, what do you mean? I love snow days. I have to make up that day at the end of the year. Yep. Like, what? You're done. Like, that was like a teacher saying like, oh, I've heard that there are some people who love extra homework, so I'm going to give it more now. And it's really just that one nerd in the class that everybody hates. Not like a typical nerd, but like that like cocky nerd that just like actually probably needs to get punched in the face like just once. So he just calms down. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. Like it's stupid. It's stupid.
Sounded, it's, I don't even know if I want to say, it sounded very Donald Trumpy to me. Like I heard from players who they love the 10 days. They all love it. That's what it sounded like to me. Just like this weird, like I talk to people.
Like he did it for money. Just admit you did it for more money. It's fine.
Yes.
You did it for more money.
Just be open about it. But the bigger discussion then came from the fact that flexing for Thursday night football is not happening for now. So they're bringing it back up at the May meetings, seeing if we can flex teams into a Thursday night. Goodell quotes, our fans come first. That's important. Part of what we do is giving our fans the best games. We're going to be careful with it. Discussions, like I said, are going to be tabled until May. So a big thread came out from Pat Leonard talking about John Mara, the co-owner of the Giants. So he was kind of the most vocal opposition to flexing Thursday Night Football. So he starts by saying, where was I? He's adamantly opposed to giving our fans. Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong. He's adamantly opposed to flexible scheduling to Thursday Night Football and calls it, quote, abusive to season ticket holders. He says, quote, at some point, can we please give some consideration to the people who are coming to the games? He's glad the vote didn't pass. Mara goes on to say this should have been vetted with the Health and Safety Committee. It should have been vetted with the Competition Committee, and it wasn't. So he goes on, like, very clearly says nobody put any thought into this, and they just tried to push it through. Mara says the vote on flexing Thursday Night Football at the league meeting was close and sounds like he's worried that it'll be revisited in May and pass. Pat Leonard did a great job explaining it all and all of Mara's comments. He has an article on it on the New York Daily News. I would suggest reading it. Mara gave pretty good explanations and like opposition, very smart opposition to it, and put it in a different lens than what I was thinking. So obviously we had heard so much about the players, their safety, their health. He mentions that. But he also talks about it in terms of the fans, which kind of turns it 180 back to Goodell, who's saying, we're doing this for the fans. And then Mara's like, no, you're not. So it's an interesting little thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's doing it for money.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing it so you can get more money from Amazon, because if you can flex good teams onto Thursday Night Football, you're going to get better ratings. Like, I get it. I get why they're doing it. It's for money. Just admit it. I don't know if it's as big of a deal as John Mara is making it out to be. Like, I think it's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, you're not doing this for fans. Like, this is not a positive thing for fans. That being said, I don't think that it's like a world-ending thing for fans either.
No,
like,
I agree.
It's a primetime game. Like, people are going to go to the games. Like, it in Philly, like, if it gets flexed, like, it's still going to fill the seats. In the places that it wasn't going to fill the seats anyway, it's probably still not going to fill the seats. Like, it is what it is. I don't know. Whatever.
Yes.
Anyway. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of having more Thursday Night Football.
Yes.
So, whatever.
Anyway, Jerry Jones has ended his longtime feud with Roger Goodell by saying he is in favor of Goodell getting an extension.
I think that Jerry Jones died and they've replaced him with a body double.
Honestly, like, maybe he's like an animatronic.
Yeah, because first the Zeke thing and now this.
Right? Maybe he's like I think he's like a robot. He's AI.
Oh, God, that's crazy.
The NFL confirms there's no promise that I don't know. I should have put this one first. NFL confirms there's no promise that all 32 teams are getting a primetime game. The quote was, quote, we want to make sure that teams competitively play their way into primetime.
Was this a thing already?
I don't know.
I thought all teams were guaranteed like certain primetime games. I could be wrong. I thought every team had to get like a Monday Night Football game and a Sunday Night Football game or something. I guess I'm wrong. But
I don't have an answer.
I don't. Yeah, I'll look into that. I guess I'm wrong, but whatever.
Maybe.
Goodell.
Goodell.
I was sick of watching the Broncos last year.
Yeah. Oh my God. Stop. That's the only reason I'm in favor of flexing Thursday Night Football. I don't want any more of the Broncos. Goodell speaks on the Brian Flores lawsuit. So he says, I can't talk specifically about the case. I would tell you this. I'm a huge fan of Brian Flores. He's a great football coach, and I have great respect for him as a man. I think the Vikings are lucky to have him as a defensive coordinator. I think he's going to continue to be a successful coach in the NFL. We'll see on the case. We did have a quick update on that. The decision the judge has made recently, which our attorney said they thought was the appropriate step, so we'll keep an eye on that. The judge ruled that the case is going to be heard in court, not in arbitration, so it'll be like public record.
That's fun.
Whatever. So that's the league meeting. Ran longer than we expected. So why don't we just talk briefly about new NFL rules we would want to see?
Yeah, why don't you do your dumb ones first?
Oh, I love my dumb ones. Okay, let me pull it up.
You know, I did some actual thinking here.
I have some thinking ones. My other ones are just really
most of yours
fun.
are dumb. No, they're not fun. They're dumb.
No, they're so fun.
No, they wouldn't actually make the game more exciting to watch. That's the thing. You haven't even said it yet, and I'm angry.
Which one? The one that made you really angry?
Any of them. Any of them.
I really like if there's someone in the draft with the same name as a rostered NFL player. Like we have 2 Josh Allens in the NFL that they're required to play for the same team.
That's just stupid. Go on.
Let's see. Oh, this one was just a wild one that happened in my dreams, and I thought it would be really funny that overtime is decided by a scavenger hunt between 2 fans.
No comment on that one.
But every game, one fan of the home team gets picked from the stands and has to play a set of downs as a quarterback.
That's stupid. That would be so bad to watch.
That would get fans in the stadium. 100%.
What?
To live their dreams.
To die.
I'm gonna start crying.
They would die.
No, they get to live their dreams.
No, my dream is not to die. I have much more interest in watching the Philadelphia Eagles play football than I do dying on that field. Like, sure, if I was going to die, that's where I would choose to die. But, like, I'm not trying to die. No, that's horrible. That would just be like, it's conceding. It's just conceding. Like, okay, I'm going to
go to the one that you hated even more.
Bathroom break.
Let's go to the one that you hated even more. If no winner in the first overtime, then the mascots have to play quarterback in the second overtime.
Why?
They have to play in costume.
That's just dumb. That doesn't help at all.
You have to start thinking logically, okay? Because if
I have to start thinking logically.
If you're an NFL team, now you have to pay the mascot big bucks. He has to know what he's doing because the game comes down to it. So the mascot in his costume has to come and finish out the game in the second overtime.
That's stupid.
Thank you very much. Yeah, there's a couple more stupid ones, but those are the most stupid ones.
I'm so angry. None of those sound like fun to watch more than once. Like, I remember in, like, old NCAA, like, March Madness 04 or whatever, you could, like, choose to play the teams except they're all mascots, and that was fun, like, a few times. That's it. Like, honestly, it would work in basketball if you're like, yeah, the mascot has to play, like,
so
3 minutes. No, I don't want to.
So when the first overtime ends, then the referee will come out with a bowl, right? And in it will say mascot plays quarterback or fan plays quarterback. And then they pick, and then it's like, what? That's how you keep it fresh.
I want the people listening to just imagine what my face looks like now. By the silence.
I'm crying because it's so funny. I love it. I would pay so much money to be in person to watch a fan be a quarterback.
Stupid. Yeah, it's fun once. It's fun once. It's
okay,
like
fine.
that.
We get one
it's
a
like
year.
that emergency goalie thing that happened.
Yeah, that one is cool.
But also, like, that's just so different than being a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easier, but, like, I have a much higher chance of succeeding at one of them. Just much higher. Infinitely higher. So much higher. I hate it. Vehemently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, these are my 2 dumbest ones.
Okay.
First, you let teams pick your playoff opponents in every round.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is
there any sort of rules to that, or they can just?
Well, from the NFC and from the AFC. But
yeah, I didn't know if there was
every
like
round, highest seed
requirements.
gets to pick first. Highest seed gets to pick first. So
interesting.
Everyone's seeded the same way, but like,
and you still get benefits from getting seeded higher because you get to pick first. Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, and like the first, obviously, you get a first round bye if you're the first seed still, and then in the second round of the however many remaining teams, I guess 3. Yeah, 3 remaining teams. You get to pick of those 3 which ones you want to have. So basically, it's the home team. It always ends up picking because it's always the higher seed. So yeah.
Nice. One of mine on those levels is you earn points throughout the season for random things. Really cool catches, really innovative plays, not in the playbook. Listen, no, I'm saying like real things.
Oh, okay? You're saying real things.
And then there's a point system in the NFL, and then that's what decides like tiebreakers in seeds. You get a certain amount of points. I haven't fully thought it out, but those are 2.
You haven't?
Ideas.
Okay.
No. Okay, you're next.
Sorry, just finishing this real quick. Yeah, there we go. In overtime, there's no kicking.
Okay.
No kicks. No
I don't
punting,
mind
no
that.
field goals. Everything is either a touchdown or turnover on downs.
Okay.
Yeah, the more I think it's a major change that would never happen, but the more I think about it, the more
No.
I'm like, I kind of actually would really
I
enjoy
do
watching
like that.
Yeah.
Just more. I know punters have skills and stuff,
Hunters are people
but
too.
yes, but like you get to see the action that you really want to see, which is
Yep.
like just teams slinging it.
Yeah. And I think it like, well, because you don't have a choice, it encourages people to obviously go for it on fourth down and be ballsy and like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think overtime is already so like terrifying on every play because it's overtime.
Mhm.
And I think if you just do that, I think it's a lot more fun. So, yeah.
Yep. Mine is I think safeties should be worth more than what they are. I think they occur very infrequently and take a lot more skill to get than most people realize. That it should be worth more than 2. I think it should be like at least 4 points, more than a field goal.
So I was actually thinking about that. And I think
Mhm.
the reason that I disagree with you is because you get points and the ball.
Hmm.
It's like
Interesting.
make it take it sort of,
Yeah.
which in every other facet of the game is not the case. You
Yeah.
never score points and then get to keep the ball automatically. So it is already worth a lot because that can be a 9-point
Possession.
swing
Yeah.
rather than, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the other end of the spectrum is you get like 10 points and you don't get the ball back.
I mean,
safeties are so hard to actually
but
get.
I think it's one of those things where it's rare, but is it really? I'm not going to say that it's easy, but like I don't think they're rare because they're insanely hard to get. Like I consider it like I don't look at it the same way as like a full court shot at the buzzer in basketball. Those are hard to get, even though people attempt them all the time because they're incredibly just insane. Like there's a 1% chance you get it. Safeties aren't that. They're just rarely does an offense leave themselves in a position where that's happening. It's like it's not it is very little to do, in my opinion, it's very little to do with the fact that the defense isn't skilled enough to do it. It's offenses in the NFL are skilled enough.
Too good. Yeah.
Yeah,
To get themselves out of that position.
It's a pretty simple thing to just not get a safety a lot of the time. Like obviously it happens, but I don't know. I was thinking about that one a lot after we talked about it yesterday. Because I don't hate it, but also I was just trying to determine how I felt about general safeties. Because I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Because I've heard that before. But oh, this is a fun one. The 17th game of the season is always at a neutral site. So teams always have an 8 home, 8 away, and then they always have a game, whether it be like I think it could be both overseas, but also like the Rose Bowl Stadium or
But you want it to be the last game of the season?
No. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, but like
that changes my view on it.
8 home, 8 away, and then
one
London,
neutral site.
Germany, maybe the old St. Louis Stadium, like just randomly around the like I don't know. I think that's good for NFL fans.
That I could support. I could support. It also is like a way to grow the game. When you first said it, I thought you meant you were saying the last game of the season is to be played at a neutral site, which I would absolutely say never.
No, that would suck. But yeah, and like honestly, like those games are always played against teams that are very rarely have any sort of history with each other because it's always AFC versus NFC, and it's like it's not even like the division that you're playing the rest of that year. It's just a random pairing. So yeah, that's my feeling. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that one was interesting.
I do like that one a lot. I think if you kick off through the uprights, it should be worth a point.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm not going to complain. I mean, it's just like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean,
1 point and it's a touchback.
I think what would end up happening with that is kickers would get too good at it.
Oh yeah.
And then it would just
100%.
It's just like I think like it would, and I think the reason it's never done anything is just because like, well, I think
we need to move the kickoff back again, and I don't like that for player safety. But
yeah,
Either way, I like it.
I have a
We need to
group
talk
of.
about my favorite one.
Okay, then talk about your favorite one.
You get to play Red Rover with after you win a playoffs game. Yep, each team that wins a playoff game can then pick someone from the opposing team to come over to their team for the rest of the season.
Red Rover. Fantasy world. Also, shout out to John Henrys,
Josh Allen
who
over.
I believe is from Australia. He is an Undroppable Patreon member. John, what time is it right now? As you're watching us.
Actually, it's very early because
no crap. Of course,
Formula One race this weekend is in Australia, and it's at 1:00 in the morning Eastern Standard Time.
I know that it's early. I understand how time zones work. I was just asking for a more specific
I was
answer.
venting about Formula One. I can give you. Do you want me to look it up?
No, I wanted John to tell me because he's in the comments section and he's living in Australia at the moment. I mean, I'm sure he's lived there for most of the time, but I could look at, it's 11 a.m. See, I could look it up if I wanted to. I have a phone. We live in 2023 in Sydney, Australia. It's 11 a.m.
In Sydney, Australia, my computer says it's 12:01.
Well, John Henry's just told me it's 11 a.m.
Interesting.
Wait, you think it's p.m.?
Well, noon would.
Noon.
You don't read a clock, apparently.
Okay, first of all, relax. We don't need that type of energy right now. You need to take it back a step.
Anyway.
Second of all, he's literally living there. He looked at his clock. Maybe he's in I don't know if he's in Sydney. Maybe he's in a different part of Australia. But he's sitting at a computer or phone watching us. And he looked at it. So I just stop arguing with him.
I didn't know he said it before you said it. I thought you guessed.
No. Oh my God. He's in Queensland. Daylight savings. I had no clue that Australia had daylight savings. I thought that was.
Anyway, John, I agree with you. I think the NFL should go to Australia. Except for the spiders. There's too many spiders.
Oh, and they're really big, too.
Oh, my God.
So everything in Australia.
Kangaroos are so scary.
I would love to go to Australia, but everything there could kill me, and I don't.
Oh, yeah, in a heartbeat.
I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Those buff kangaroos, they're terrifying.
I love kangaroos, though. I don't. That's fine. Okay, I can't deal with the. I can't deal with the critters.
No, they're like buff.
I'm aware they're buff. I've seen kangaroos. I like kangaroos. If I get beat up by a kangaroo, fine. I don't want to get bitten by a weird-ass spider that's the size of my head.
Let's look that up.
I would much rather get mauled by a kangaroo. No questions asked. A kangaroo could beat the shit out of me. I don't care. I can put up a fight against a kangaroo. It's not going to go well, but I could physically try and defend myself. If a spider comes after me, I'm screwed. I don't know what to do against a spider against that size.
They're like the size of your head.
Push it. I can't punch a spider. That's not gonna happen.
You could.
Well, not really.
Just get like one really big shoe.
Sure. But realistically, if I'm just standing like this and a kangaroo attacks me, I could try and defend myself. If a spider does, I have to run.
Did you know that a human baby can fit in a kangaroo pouch?
Yes. I love kangaroos. They're awesome.
Yeah, human baby though. It says anything bigger can't.
Human babies are not that big.
Yeah.
And kangaroos are pretty big.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought the pouch was bigger.
Hit it with a thong. What?
Do you know what a thong is? It's a flip-flop.
Does he know what a thong is?
Yes, it's a flip-flop.
Does he know what it is in America?
Oh, probably.
Okay. Because that just a very different visual came to my head, and I didn't see how it would be helpful.
Like a slingshot.
Yeah, well, I was like, am I blinding it? I don't.
This has gone off the rails really far.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, the rest of my rules are basically all XFL rules. I like the XFL kickoff, where it starts with nobody can run until the ball is caught, and that's good. It's good for player safety, and it makes kickoffs a lot more exciting.
Safety.
The onside kick thing from the XFL, and then finally, the XFL allows you to challenge anything. You get one. I think you get one a game or one a half. You can challenge literally any play. You can challenge the outcome. You can challenge a no call. You can challenge a call. Just do it, NFL. Say screw it and just I can throw the red flag for literally anything I want, and I love it. Give me the freedom to screw myself over if I want to.
I don't think it's a rule, but the XFL also is really good at giving
Yes.
like insight. The refs are mic'd up, the coaches are mic'd up, the players are mic'd up. You can hear a lot of it.
All the officials
all the
stuff
time.
is done very
Like very
candidly.
transparently. Yeah.
Which
like
they
that.
did screw up last week, and Dean Blandino was caught on a live mic saying, "Yeah, we screwed that one up," which I think is hilarious. But honestly, I'd
But
prefer
that's
the
the
NFL
point.
just say that. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I'd
That's the
prefer that
point. Instead of like
100%.
sending their one guy into the press conference at the end of a thing, being like, "We made the best of our situation."
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like that. Also, make it a rule. I want a helmet point of view camera from a quarterback.
I
That's
feel
my
like that.
rule.
I feel like
I
I
want
would
it
like that
so
more in
bad.
theory than I would in practice. I feel like in theory, I want it to look like Madden or something, or like a VR thing. I think in practice, I don't think it would look like that at all. I think it would be pretty miserable to watch. I could be wrong, but I don't think it would be
just want to
enjoyable.
try it.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Confirmed. Approved. Anyway, John did know both meetings. You were asking.
Yes, John's a smart individual.
Yes.
And he sends me trade requests, and I feel really bad because I think he always wants to trade for like Jalen Waddle, and I just nothing he have interest me, and I feel bad every time because it's like this dude's in Australia trying to trade with me.
I know.
And I'm just like,
you have to do it now.
No, I could have done it all last year. I won't. I like John.
Rude.
He's a nice guy.
Rude.
He always asks insightful questions in the Patreon.
He does.
And I never have insightful answers, so I never say
Speaking
anything.
of, if you want to be a patron, like John, you could sign up.
Oh, I thought you said of John. I was like, we're not plugging John.
Could you imagine? No, if you want to be a Patreon, you like John, you can subscribe at patreon.com/theundroppables. Get access to all of the Undroppables members, ask questions, especially with fantasy football and rookie drafts coming up. It is a great place to be. For a very small price, you get a lot of great minds helping you out. Is there anything else you want to
add? If anyone out there is an artist, please draw a picture of me fighting a spider with a thong.
I want you all to also put the kangaroo on his side. The kangaroo's helping him.
Nice. Okay.
They're buddies.
I would pick the spider over the kangaroo because you can't punch a spider that size.
No, I know.
Also, kangaroos don't have shoes. So,
but I'm saying that you like kangaroos, so now the kangaroo's
your
buddy,
I'm
he
just
also is fighting a spider.
You know, 1v1 against a spider. I think a kangaroo probably is going to lose. I don't even know if spiders can really hurt you, but they're massive, and I don't like them. So,
did you say the spider's going to lose?
No, I think the kangaroo's going to lose.
To the spider?
How do you punch a spider? You can't.
He just jump on it.
He's not wearing shoes. Spiders are too big for that.
Now I need to go Google kangaroos and shoes.
Well, they exist all over the place. That's a very easy thing to find a picture of.
You should put one on the screen while you tell us where we can find you. Or is that too much to do at once?
It's too much to do at once. If you can't tell, my ADHD.
All right, so you look it up and then you put it up while I'll go first this time. Ready?
Okay.
You could find me on Twitter at Ashley_Marie with 2 A's at the beginning of Ashley. Like I said, you can find me and all the Undroppables crew at patreon.com. You can find Michael Duncan and I here live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything like that. Where is he?
Sorry, I'm working on it.
So anticlimactic.
Well, I didn't realize it would change so quickly. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I really like that one.
Yeah, well, the problem is there's a shoe brand called Kangaroos, and there's shoes with pockets. So that was the only thing that came up at first. So, yeah. There you go.
What would you put in your shoe pocket?
I don't know. A key? I don't have one.
This is so much. Where can we find you? I miss my
Pokemon light up shoes, if we're being
I miss Heelys. I bought a pair of adult Heelys, but they looked like Crocs.
So did my girlfriend in college, and so did a bunch of people. And honestly, the people that bought them for the most part just made me not want to ever wear them again because it's like I just don't like you. I'm not talking about my ex-girlfriend.
I loved Heelys.
The other people. I liked them in like middle school.
No, like I was so good at it.
Oh, there's like jumping shoes. They're like stilts, but you jump like a kangaroo.
There are those.
Can you just take us out of here? You're the one that's supposed to
tell us where we can find you.
No, they don't want to find me. It's fine. At MPDuncan75 on Twitter. No one cares. It doesn't change. No one wants to find me. No one.
Welcome to the off season where we talk about kangaroos and thongs. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope you have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Go Birds.